The moment she said those words, "I'm not sure about us anymore," something inside me finally went quiet. Not shattered, not raged. Just quiet, like the stillness that settles after a long, brutal storm. Maya stood in our living room, her arms crossed, eyes flickering anywhere but mine. She looked smaller than I remembered, like she'd been shrinking out of our life bit by bit without me noticing. For a second, I almost pitied her. Almost. Then I smiled, slow and deliberate, and said, "Actually, I've already signed the divorce papers." Her eyes widened, confusion flashing into fear. And in that instant, I realized she never expected me to stop trying. It all started months ago. Maya had changed, but not in the obvious cliché way. There weren't late nights or lipstick stains or mysterious phone calls at first. It was more subtle. The warmth between us began to cool. Her laughter, once effortless, became selective. Conversations turned into small exchanges about bills, groceries, or who'd take the trash out. She started dressing up more often for work dinners. She'd spend longer in front of the mirror, checking her reflection with a kind of care she hadn't shown in years. When I'd ask who she was meeting, she'd shrug, "Just the team," and kiss my cheek without really touching me. One night I waited for her. The dinner was supposed to end at 10. By midnight her phone went to voicemail. At 1 she came home, hair slightly tousled, perfume sharper than usual. "You're up?" she asked, pretending surprise. "Couldn't sleep," I said, watching her slip out of her heels. "How was dinner?" "Fine," she said too quickly. "Long meeting. You know how clients are." I nodded but said nothing. That was the first night I noticed the faint scent of cologne on her coat. Not mine. For weeks, I tried to convince myself I was imagining things. Maybe I was tired. Maybe we were just drifting, the way marriages sometimes do after a decade. But then came the smile. It was during a Saturday brunch at her friend Clara's house. Everyone was laughing, sipping mimosas, when I caught Maya glancing at her phone. Her lips curved into this soft, private smile, different from the polite ones she gave others. That smile wasn't for me. It wasn't even hers anymore. The breaking point came on a Wednesday. I remember because it was raining, the kind that made the city smell like wet pavement and rust. I'd left work early under the pretense of a migraine, but really I just needed answers. When she said she had another work dinner, I followed her. I hated myself for it every step of the way. But when trust dies, suspicion fills the hollow it leaves behind. She drove downtown, parked in front of an Italian restaurant. I watched her step out, umbrella in hand, looking radiant under the streetlights. Man was waiting. Not a coworker. Not just a friend. They hugged, too close, too long. Then he brushed her cheek, and she leaned into the touch like she'd been starving for it. I sat there in the car, my fingers gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles went white. No rage. No tears. Just the slow, dull ache of something I'd built my whole life around crumbling. That night when she came home, I pretended to be asleep. She showered, humming softly, and crawled into bed beside me. Her skin smelled like rain and someone else's cologne. I lay there, eyes open in the dark, feeling every inch between us stretch wider than ever. By morning I'd made my decision. I didn't confront her right away. Instead I watched. Quietly. I started documenting everything. The text messages, the times she left, the lies she told. I didn't do it to punish her. I just wanted the truth, stripped bare of excuses. And once I had it, I went to a lawyer. Filing for divorce felt surreal. Like I was signing a permission slip to end a life I'd spent years building. But at least, for the first time in months, I felt control returning. A week later, she came home looking restless. Her hair was undone, her voice uncertain. "Ethan," she began, not meeting my eyes. "We need to talk." I set down my coffee and waited. "I don't know how to say this," she continued, her fingers fidgeting. "I've been confused lately. About us. About everything." There it was, the line. The practiced vagueness of someone trying to justify the unjustifiable. "I'm not sure about us anymore." I studied her face. The guilt behind her forced calm. the way her throat tightened as she swallowed. And then I said it, the words that had been sitting in my chest like a loaded gun. Actually, I've already signed the divorce papers. Her mouth fell open slightly. What? I reached into the drawer and pulled out the manila envelope, sliding it across the table. I know, Maya. About him. Her face drained of color. Ethan, I don't. My voice was steady, but it cut through the room like ice. Please don't insult both of us with a lie right now. She covered her mouth with trembling hands, tears brimming. It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't mean. You didn't mean to. I laughed, a bitter sound. You just fell into someone else's arms by accident. I was lonely, she whispered. You stopped. You stopped seeing me, Ethan. You were always working, always distant. I stared at her, feeling a strange detachment. So you decided to find someone who did see you? She nodded weakly, tears sliding down her face. Then I guess you got what you wanted, I said quietly. Someone else can have the job now. She cried for a long time that night. I didn't comfort her. Not because I wanted to be cruel, but because I had nothing left to give. 4 years, I tried to fix what was broken between us, thinking love was enough to hold it all together. But love, I realized, isn't a glue, it's a choice. And she'd stopped choosing me a long time ago. When she finally went upstairs, I stayed on the couch, staring at the divorce papers. I should have felt angry, vindicated, something. But all I felt was tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of loving someone who'd already left in every way that mattered. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. Her side of the closet was half empty. A note lay on the counter. I'm sorry. I didn't know how lost I was until I lost you. I'll sign them. I folded the note and placed it in the envelope beside her ring. And then I walked out. It's been 6 months since then. People say time heals, but it doesn't, not really. It just dulls the edges of the pain until you can live around it. Sometimes I still see her in my dreams, smiling the way she used to before everything fell apart. And sometimes I wake up missing her, even though I know she's not mine to miss anymore. But then I remind myself, that night when she said, I'm not sure about us anymore, she was telling the truth. She wasn't sure about us. And that's okay. 'Cause I'm sure about me. Last week I ran into her at a bookstore. She looked different, softer, quieter. The man she left me for wasn't with her. Ethan, she said, hesitant, as if testing the sound of my name. You look good. Thanks, I said. You too. There was an awkward silence before she whispered. I think about you sometimes. I smiled faintly. I know. Then I turned and walked away. Not out of spite but peace. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to look back. Love can end quietly. Not always with shouting or slammed doors. Sometimes it's just two people standing in the wreckage, realizing the foundation gave way long before they noticed the cracks. And in that quiet, you learn something no one tells you about heartbreak. Doesn't destroy you. It rebuilds you into someone who finally knows when to let go.